Alright, here it is. Welcome, nerds, painting nerds, to episode 8. To the Warrior, Munchkin Dungeon. We reached it. We reached the 100 subscribers. Let's go to 125. Let's get it. Let's spread this word. Let's do it. Come on. Let's get at it. If you're new here, it's the first time you're watching these videos, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Let's do it. Let's go. Come on. We're painting. We're going. We're going to be painting the Warrior. Following the card. But before we're getting into it, hit that little subscribe button. It's right there, that little red thing. I think it's red. I don't know. Just hit it. It doesn't hurt. And watch the videos. We're going to be doing all of them. From the Kickstarter of Munchkin Dungeon. We're going to turn that ugly gray piece of plastic into this magical, easy to do tutorial that I put together. It's super easy. And as you can tell, this model looks pretty good for not a lot going on with it. Your friends are going to be like, oh my gosh, you're so cool. You're so awesome. You're like, I know. But whatever. All right, let's go. All right, we're just using the little Citadel Corax White, just like the other videos, to spray it, prime it. You got an airbrush, use an airbrush. Primer right. Easy money. That's it. First thing we're using for the shield and for the metal hilt of the sword is Retributor Armour. Slap that thing on there. Make sure we're thinning our paints. Now with metallic paints, it's a little bit more difficult to thin because of the pigment. But make sure you get a little bit of water in there, and we're just going to be cruising all over that shield. Get on the back side as well, and we're going to be doing that hilt. If you want to use a little smaller brush, I'm using Rosemary & Co., which I find to be fantastic quality for the price. Use whatever you got though. You could switch to a smaller brush, a 5-0 or a 10-0 if you feel like painting for 30 minutes on one small piece. But just hit that hilt, and if you get a little bit on the sword or the hand, that's alright, we're going to go back over it, no big deal. For the sword and the spear, we're going to be using our Leadbelcher. And if you've been watching, or if you've seen any painting videos, Leadbelcher and Nulin Oil are going to go together like peanut butter and jelly. They're amazing. But hit that sword and hit that spear. Now if you look at the card, the armor is not really armor. It is armor, but it's not armor. Does that make sense? It doesn't make sense. Whatever. The color on the card is going to be just a flat gray, basically. So we're just going to go with Mechanicus standard gray. We're going to be doing the helmet, and the warrior has some armor on, but it's not reflective, so we're just going to be using some nice, easy to use gray. We're not going to use any wash on the gray because we're just going to keep it that flat gray. That's all we want. So once you start doing the armor behind the shield, switch to a smaller brush if you want to, just to get those hard to reach places. I did, and it was very beneficial to do that. And just go ahead and hit those easy or hard places real quick. For the dress that the warrior is wearing, which I don't know, we're going to be using Caliban Green. This took 2 to 3 layers because you're thinning your paints. I know you are because you've been watching this channel and you know all about it. Thin your paints, and it's going to take 2 to 3 layers, front and back, and the sleeves that go underneath the armor. Pretty easy. After your 2 to 3 coats, it should look like this. Alright. For the hair, we're just going to be using a little bit of Rhinox Hide. Again, with the card, very dark colored hair, not a lot going on with it. Pretty basic, pretty standard, blah, just whatever. But if you can tell on all these characters, there's not a whole lot going on. This isn't like your Kingdom Death Monster or your Massive Darkness, where there's a lot of contrast and contours and shake and bakes and all that type of stuff. We're just doing basic, a lot of flat, easy colors. So that's all we're doing. Just hit those spots, and we're gonna put a wash on it, and that's gonna be it for that. But we'll get to that. Hold your horses. For the strap around the back side of the body, Mournfang Brown. We're not mixing a lot of colors here. We're not doing any of that. We're doing straight up colors for straight up colors. Yep. And that's about it. For the wooden part of the spear, we're using Steel Legion Drab. We're going to highlight that here in a little bit with a different color, but Steel Legion Drab on it. Be careful. Take your time. Listen to some good music or a book on tape, whatever you got it going on. For the visor on the helmet, Celestra Grey. If you end up getting some over on the gray, the Mechanicus Standard Gray, that's why I'm using a wet palette, so we can just go back, hit that back over with some Mechanicus Standard Gray, and that's it. We're going to hit the top and hit all in between, and don't worry about it because we're going to hit it with a wash here in a minute to get those dark recesses in between the visor. Alright, for the skin, we're using a little Cadian Fleshtone, a little medium Fleshtone looking, yeah. Hit the face. If you get in the teeth, don't worry, we're going to hit that with some white, and hit those hands, and behind the shield. For the teeth, we're just using a little bit of Vallejo white, model color white. If you have something else, use that. And again, if you have these colors, perfect, you can go right along. If you have something similar, just use that. This isn't an exact science. You can use whatever you want, but just something comparable. All right, base colors are on. Let's wash this puppy. Already looking good. Alright, we're going to be hitting all that skin and the shield with a little Reikland Fleshshade. It's kind of got like a reddish orange tone to it, and it's going to make that shield look real good in the recesses. I want to thank our sponsor today, our subscribe sponsor, absolutely nobody, as usual. But hey, we're going to get one day maybe, but all you got to do is subscribe to get those sponsors, to get those people to be like, alright, you know what, this guy knows what he's doing, which I really don't. But I enjoy doing this because I have a regular normal job that is so far away from stuff like this that this brings me back to earth. Brings me back to it. I love it. But if you can't subscribe, because why not? Ain't got nothing else going on. At least I don't. Maybe that's just me. Alright, on to the next step. We're washing that green with a little Biel-Tan Green. You could use a Samo camo shade, but this is a little bit more greenish, if that makes any sense. It looks good. Or if you got another wash from something else, Army Painter, use that. For the sword and the spear, and for the helmet visor, Nulin Oil. Now if you get it over in the recesses, not a big deal. Once it dries, we can go right back over that with some Mechanicus Standard Gray if you get it on there, or if you get some on the spear wood part, we can go right back over that. Not a big deal at all. So don't freak out and be like, oh my god, I ruined it. You didn't ruin nothing. Nothing we can't fix. Agrathx Earthshade for the hair and for the brown portion of the spear handle, stick, whatever you want to call it. We're just going to go over that. Be a little careful. If you want to use a smaller brush, go ahead and use a smaller brush, but we are just hitting those real quick. And that's all we're going to do. We're going to let that dry on that hair. We're not doing anything else. You can put a highlighter of Rhinox Hide, but the highlight is going to be so minimal you might not even notice, so I didn't even bother to do it. Alright, we're on the highlights. We're on the home stretch. We're getting there. Auric Armor Gold. We're going to hit the bird thing, whatever it is. Maybe it's a dragon. I don't know. Hit the race portions. So anything that's actually on the shield below the bird thing, don't hit it. And then we're going to hit all of the edges around the shield, and we're going to hit the hilt. This is going to make it stand out really nice, and when it's hitting the good light, you're going to see the two tones of the gold, and it's going to look super good. Hit the back side of the shield if you want. I did, just to, if somebody sees it from behind, they're kind of seeing that different kind of contrast, but it's not necessary. I just did it because I was like, whatever, I'm already here, let's go. For the sword and the spear, I used Runefang Steel. Now I'm only doing one side of the sword on one side and one side of the sword on the other side. Same with the spear to kind of give it that two-tone contrast, light versus dark. Makes it look pretty decent to mix in with the shield. I liked it. Alright, for the probably the most tedious portion of this, we're going to be using Warpstone Glow. Now greens, watered down on top of other greens or white or something, you got to do like 5 layers and it sucks. So do a layer, leave a little bit of that dark green in the recesses if you want, let it dry. You can move on to another portion of the video and then come back, let it dry, put on another layer, let it dry. This took me like 3 to 4 layers. It sucks, but it looks good once it's done, and you'll see at the end of this it looks really good. It makes it come out, really stand against that gray and the gold. Looks fantastic. Hey, if you're letting it dry and you're like, oh, I'm just gonna let it dry and take a break, hey, go over to Instagram. Check out our Instagram, nerd.nights. There's a picture of the castle, like in the intro. You'll see it, you'll see what we got going on. I'm trying to post more stuff all the time, but we're going, we're moving. Check that out. See if you like it, see some of the old work, and then it lets you know on there whenever we're posting new things and going. So check that out while you're waiting. That's what I'd do. I'm gonna do that right now. For the visor, we're hitting it with a Ulthuan Grey. It's going to make it stand out just that much more. And the dark recesses of the Nulin Oil make it look pretty good. The light versus dark, I have to say. Hit a home run on that one. Make sure to hit the top of that visor. And if you mess up, hey, hit it with Mechanicus Standard Gray on the gray portion. Pretty easy. For the spear handle, we are hitting it with a little bit of flat earth. You could have used this color too in the beginning, but it gives it kind of a contrast. Looks pretty good. Just hit it with a little flat earth on the top, on the front. Pretty decent. We're going back over those straps with the Mournfang Brown that we originally started with. Use a smaller brush. I didn't, and I ended up getting a little bit on the sides and I had to fix it. So just take the little extra step of using a smaller brush and it should be fine. Looks pretty good. All right, we're gonna be highlighting the skin and the hands. Don't forget the backhand behind the shield. Almost forgot about it. Cadian Fleshtone, water it down. You should only need 1 layer to make it look pretty decent. You're gonna go over basically the entire face. Cheekbones, forehead, nose, underneath the nose, the skin, the neck. Hit the fingertips, leave the dark recesses actually in the fingertips, between the fingertips, which will give it that nice piece of contrast. That's the whole point of the wash. And if you feel like you need more or less, do either, but make sure you're just hitting everything, get the tips of that nose. You're basically going to go over the entire model again with that Cadian Fleshtone. through the back of that hand that's holding the shield, and just hit that real quick. And don't be too scared if you get something on, like I've been saying the entire video. Just clean it up with whatever color you need to clean it up with. For the eyes, we're using black. Get that nice base. Get both elbows on the table. Get that nice, like, kind of curl your shoulders in and get that nice base. And you're just going to go in there and you're going to hit those eyes and those eyebrows with some black. When you're doing the eyebrows, get the edge of your brush and kind of scrape it. And you're going to hit that raised area and it's going to be just fine. So don't try and go at it with the tip of it. Kind of scrape that eyebrow with your brush. And if you mess up like I did, because we all mess up, it's almost impossible not to. Cadian Fleshtone, we got a wet palette. We are not wasting paint here because that crap is super expensive, beyond expensive. Citadel, I'm talking to you. All right, white teeth. Get a nice healthy drop of Nulin Oil in there. And that's going to fill in all the recesses and it's going to match the carb. If you feel like you got too much, go ahead and brush off your brush onto a towel, whatever you have standing by, and just kind of soak back up some of that Nulin Oil. But you want to have dark recesses, so have enough in there where it's dark and you can completely see the lines between the teeth and around the teeth. While that's drying, hit the base with Mechanicus Standard Gray. Probably two layers because of the white, but it should be done drying afterward. All right, go back up over those teeth and hit them with that white, and you'll be done. And it looks pretty dang good. Well, look at you. I'm sure right about now your door is trying to be broke down by about 15 females trying to get to you. Or dudes, whatever you're into. And you did a fantastic job. Look how good that looks. You're moving on up the nerd mini painting ladder. As always, I want to say thank you for watching, and if you can, I've already mentioned it twice or 3 times, or probably 20 by now, subscribe. Hit that little button, spread the word, go tell your friends, post it on a forum. If somebody's asking like, hey, does anybody got a good painting tutorial for Munchkin Dungeon or whatever else I've posted? Hey, yeah, Nerd Nights, he's got a great one, check this shit out. Yeah, it's so cool, it sucks so much, but it's decent, whatever, cool. If you're bored, hit my Instagram up, nerd.nights. But hey, I can't say thank you enough for taking the time out of your busy day to watch this channel. Without you, this wouldn't be happening. And I feel like we're growing it at a pretty decent level, but let's move it up. Let's go to 125 by the next video since we hit 100, and I'm super happy with that. Let's hit to 125 by the next video, which is probably going to be another Munchkin video. But thank you, and I'll see you next time. Oh, I love you. All right. I gotta go. Paint on. Peace.